only about 30 minutes, but boy, it's going to pack a punch, folks. Brian Perkle running the board for me as per usual. I've missed him as well. Glad to have him in studio, and you'll notice the man to my right if you're tuning in via the live stream on AccessNorthGA.com, Benjie Wood. He got some big news today, and we're going to bring it to you along with a pretty good conversation, so you're probably going to want to stick with us for that. Spring sports, state playoff action in full swing. Before we get to our Tuesday guests, I want to wish all the athletes and coaches out there good luck. We're pulling for you. I think that pretty much encompasses everything, right? Also want to remind all you fine folks listening that complete coverage of all state games and meets that involve teams in our BEA beautiful area can be found on the AccessNorthGA.com sports page. And yes, I did watch Bruce Almighty 2 nights ago, for those of you wondering. Also, I interviewed Flowery Branch girls soccer coach Katie Scally today ahead of her team hosting Rome in the first round of the state playoffs tonight. The podcast of that is posted on my Facebook page, Game On with Katie B. Davis. It's also on the Twitter feed, at KTB Davis, just the 3 letters and then the last name. So we were going to run that full interview for you tonight during Game On. And we were also going to speak with Chestatee girls soccer coach Mark Dunn. But a little something came up about the time I came into work today. On that note, we want to welcome into Game On this evening former North Hall coach. And Coach Wood, I guess we can also call you former Flowery Branch coach. I'm not real sure. But former North Hall coach, we'll stick with that for now. Benjie Wood, who was today officially, and I want to really emphasize the word officially because I think this was the worst kept secret in Hall County where coaching changes are concerned, at least in my lifetime. Officially named boys basketball coach at Gainesville High School. You and I have had conversations about this job. You and I have had conversations about the aftermath of taking this job. But I first want to say congratulations to you and your family for the new gig at Gainesville High School. I'm liking the shirt. You look good in red. Do you feel good in red?
I do. I graduated from the University of Georgia, so I've always been a big red and black kind of a guy.
He also got some new kicks on, folks, that are red and white and black. So he's got the full ensemble. As we have joked/said many times when it comes to Benjie Wood, he's all about the attire. We've talked about that, especially during the state playoffs when he would make his assistant coaches dress like him. And I'm glad you all never, though, employed the wardrobe shenanigans, we'll put it that way, of one Randy Coleman. I'm glad that you stuck with your subtle wares.
I asked Randy if he was buying a red suit.
What did he say?
I said, so you going to be Santa Claus and get you a red suit? And he just started laughing. He said, whatever you want me to do, Coach.
Whatever you want me to do. That's how we hope, and I'm sure you as well hope, that the kids at Gainesville are going to be. And I want everyone out there listening to understand this. When I use the word we, I don't mean as a Gainesville High School alumnus. Folks, I'm over it. I'm 34 years old. You need to get over it too. That's not what I mean. I mean in these communities that surround. We did just congratulate Coach Wood, and that's what this conversation is going to be about today. We're going to ask him the tough questions because we know that that's what you all want the answers to. So we're going to ask him the tough questions. We're going to do it in a cordial way. So if that's not what you want to hear, go ahead, turn off your dial. It's cool. We're going to podcast this interview on WDUN.com. We're going to video podcast it on AccessNorthGA.com sports page so you can watch it on your own time. So, let's start out with the tough question. Coach, a little more than a month ago, you leave North Hall saying you're going to Flowery Branch High School, about 5 minutes away from your home. You wanted to go to Flowery Branch to be closer to your family. Gainesville's further away from Flowery Branch than Flowery Branch is. So what is the reason that you were the new boys basketball coach at Gainesville?
Well, it's about 4 to 5 miles further away from my house than Flowery Branch is. The situation is where my wife's job is right now. We kind of would have had a triangle. So being able to take this job at Gainesville High School is actually going to offer us an opportunity to spend more time with one another. Mm-hmm. than we would have at Flowery Branch. Flowery Branch was a good situation. It's a very good school, much closer than North Hall was. And it's actually a few miles closer than Gainesville is. But the Gainesville job itself, not just for myself, but my family, will allow us to spend more time with one another.
Want to clear something up here. I saw these words being put out on Facebook, being put out on Twitter. And I want to encourage people to use their words carefully when talking about this situation with Coach Benjie Wood and going to Gainesville High School. And here's why. It was put out there that when Coach Cottrell left for Lakeview, and that is what allowed this job to be open, when Coach Todd Cottrell left to take the job at Lakeview Academy, you applied for the Gainesville job. I want people to use their words carefully. How did this job come about? How did this happen?
Coach Vickery called me as soon as it became open and asked me if I'd be interested. And I said, no, Wayne, I don't think the timing's real good on this.
Right.
You know, I've always admired Gainesville High School and the tradition there. But I said, I don't think the timing's real good on this. And I actually gave him several names of several very good coaches that I thought he should call. And he continued to call. And Jeremy Kemp, the baseball coach at Gainesville High School, kind of grew up with my wife. So he called me, and he called my wife that weekend. And they were pretty persistent. Mm-hmm. They were pretty persistent with everything and basically rolled out the red carpet in a sense that they made us feel very, very wanted. And they both know that my family is very, very important to me. And so the Gainesville City School System has worked on an opportunity for me to theoretically walk across the football field and eat lunch with my daughter on those days where I may get home at midnight.
Right.
So it's been, I guess, about a 2-week process. And it went from no. Well, there are some good points there to, this is a really good situation. Yeah. And, we base everything on family and faith. Everything we do is based on family and faith. And, it's definitely not good timing. The timing on this stinks. But you know what? One of the former players at Flowery Branch told me last week, he says, Coach, this isn't good timing. When I was proud you were my coach for a couple of weeks, but it would have been harder next year had we gotten closer to one another. Yeah. So in that sense, talking to that kid, he and I were texting one another last week. I went to the Flowery. The rumors have been obviously out, for a week or so. They were actually out rampant before I was even considering it. Yeah. And that's the truth. Right. But in fairness to those kids, at the end of last week, I said, they're hearing all these different things. I need to go talk to them. So I went and spoke with them, and a few of the kids that I had their phone numbers with, I texted them, and I had some really good conversations with those kids. And ironically, those kids were really pretty understanding. Right. And one kid says, Coach, you've taught me so much in a couple weeks, and I'm going to use that to kick your butt next year. That's the kind of attitude you got to love. Absolutely. Right. And I said, and then I told one kid he was going through some difficult things, and I said, son, just because I'm not your coach don't mean I won't be there for you. Mm-hmm. So it's been kind of a gut-wrenching process, to be honest with you. And when I went over to talk to those Flowery Branch kids, I was about as nervous as I've ever been, because I didn't know how I was going to say it. So, but me being me, I just had to come out and say it like it was. Yeah. And the kids were really pretty resilient, and some of them were probably glad to get me on out the door. So. Less mat drills, right? Hey, if there's one thing that we know that young people respect more than anything, it's honesty and someone being forthright to them, and they're definitely getting that with Benjie Wood in any way, whether he's your coach or not your coach. I did want to clarify the application process, though, because folks, that ain't how it happened. He didn't go behind anybody's back. That's not how this occurred. And I posed that question to Benjie Wood because it was brought up to me by Wayne Vickery, who said, I asked him about 5 or 6 times. I was persistent. And he finally said, I'll think about it. And then it led to this. So let's be careful when using our words to describe this situation. All of you sports fans in the area out there. Coach, there are going to be a lot of people ticked off at you. Yep. But those aren't my real friends. Yeah. In this world, as I told you, and I, sometimes I say things I shouldn't, but I'm honest. Most of the people who are ticked off of me will say it behind my back and won't say it to my face. Yeah. Because they're not my friend and they want something to talk about. And I do apologize for any, the timing of this. And anything that I've done to upset any kids, I'm really sorry about. The adults, if they're really upset about it, then I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's important to know that really there was no dishonesty here, because you had not signed a contract with Flowery Branch. You had not been approved by the Hall County Board of Education. Am I right about that?
I have no idea. Since it was an in-county thing, I have no idea if the board had even talked about it. I know I had not signed a contract.
Yeah.
And like I said, it went from something I wasn't even considering to it was a whirlwind of, I really do need to consider this. And what I did is I sought the advice of some people that weren't from here.
Mm-hmm.
I sought the advice of coaches that were not in Hall County. And a very good coach is a good friend of mine. Said, Benjie, you spent 2 decades taking care of everyone else's kids and everyone else's family. You have a rare opportunity to take care of your family. If you don't do this, then you will regret it. And I said, at the end of the day, all those people who are mad at me, I have to look across the table and look at my kids.
That's right. That's who you have to be with day in and day out.
Yeah. And I spoke to a former Gainesville High graduate that said, I've played in college and there's nothing like being a red elephant.
Yeah.
So I do feel that sense of community. I spoke to one coach since this has all went down and said, I came from outside the city, and now that I'm in there, I don't hear people in Gainesville City talking bad about anyone else because they're too busy taking care of the people that are in Gainesville City schools.
Mm-hmm.
So that's nice,
Well, we got a tweet from Tina Maddox who said, welcome to Gainesville. You will be great. Her son, Luke Maddox, point guard for the Gainesville High basketball team. Her son, Will Maddox, folks, about 30 minutes ago, stole home in a University of Tennessee baseball game. That kid's kicking it in Knoxville. Do you understand me? He stole home. Who does that? Will Maddox. That's who. It's 7:18. This is Game On. I'm Katie B. Davis. We're going to bring Benjie Wood back. And when we come back, folks, we're going to look ahead, not behind. We're going to look ahead. What's he going to do at Gainesville High School to continue the tradition of excellence? What was his conversation like with his longtime friend, Shannon Benton, who happens to also be the athletics director at Flowery Branch? And most importantly, what did he say to those young men at Gainesville High School who he's going to be coaching next year? We'll be right back. This is AM 550, FM 102.9, WDUN. 21 minutes after 7 o'clock. Thanks for being here, everyone. This is Game On. I'm Katie B. Davis. You're listening to AM 550, FM 102.9, WDUN. And boy, are we happy that you are. In the house with us, brand spanking new. He's still shining in his new Gainesville attire. Boys basketball coach at Gainesville High School, Benjie Wood. Coach, you live in the same neighborhood with Flowery Branch athletics director Shannon Benton. Flowery Branch just lost their boys basketball coach, Duke Mullis, about a month and a half ago. They went for Benjie Wood, got him. Benjie, just to catch you all up who are just now tuning in, Coach Wood did not sign a contract. There was no conversation had with the Hall County Board of Education. He was sought after by Wayne Vickery at Gainesville High School, and Todd Cottrell left to go to Lakeview Academy. My head's spinning, people, spinning. This is like musical chairs, but boys basketball, high school style. So now Benjie Wood is the boys basketball coach at Gainesville High School. You and Shannon Benton, the athletics director at Flowery Branch, friends for a long time. You live in the same neighborhood. Briefly tell us what the conversation was like with him.
Not only does he live in my neighborhood, he lives directly across the street from me.
Somebody's getting rolled tonight. No, I'm kidding.
But, like I said, when this first kind of came about, I really didn't think anything about it because I just said no, and I didn't really think anything about it. As it got serious, I called Will Schofield, the Hall County Board of Education superintendent, and I talked to Shannon. Shannon said, I know you have some tough decisions, just let me know. And we talked about it, and when I finally decided what I was going to do, I called and told him, and he said, listen, I understand. He knows my family. When we first moved in, my wife and I babysat his kids when they were in elementary school. So we have been friends for a long time, and he knows. He said, you've got to do what's best for your family. So there's really no hard feelings there. Some people said that, and I said, listen, your friends are your friends.
Yeah.
Your job's your job, and, our jobs happen to, mingle with friends, and we're with the community, but your friends are your friends. So there are no hard feelings there at all.
And nice to hear that those who have supported you in the past, those who have sought you, still do and still are. That's got to be a pretty good feeling. Now, interesting thing happened on the way to the forum today, folks. Wayne Vickery introduced, they took off running with this thing. Took off running with it. Athletics director at Gainesville High School, Wayne Vickery, introduces Benjie to the team you're going to coach, the team who mere weeks ago was playing in the Class 5A state championship game against Miller Grove, a heartbreaking loss. What was the conversation like when you first got put in front of those red elephants?
Well, like you said, this wasn't a huge surprise to those kids. So here's the thing I told them. I said, I'm not going to come in here and start talking about building a tradition. The tradition is already built. We want to embrace it, wrap our arms around it, and actually embrace all those great players like yourself that have built Gainesville and made it what it is. I spoke with Brenda today about that and doing some different things. And I told the guys, I said, we're going to play up-tempo. We're going to press. And it's going to look like chaos, but it's organized chaos. In order for us to do this and do this with discipline, we have to get to work. We're going to do what we've done in other places. We're going to roll up our sleeves and we're going to go to work.
How was that received by the young men who were looking at you?
I think they were excited.
Yeah.
I really think they're excited. I've had, in fact, a couple of the senior, when they announced basketball players, a couple of the seniors came on over because I think they were just wanting to get out of school. They were wanting to get out of class. And two of them says, Coach, I wish I had one more year to play for you. Mm-hmm. Because, of course, probably just because they want another year to wear that Gainesville uniform. And I told them, I said, guys, I wish you had another year too.
Right, yeah, I hear that.
It was Shaquan and Jackie's, and I said, you're two pretty good players. So I'm excited. I think they're excited. And right now we'll have that filling out process. We've started our individual meetings where we'll sit down and get to know the kids. I actually sat down and met with Luke today. Mm-hmm. He'll be our point guard, and I've already got 2 meetings set up for tomorrow. So getting to know the kids, letting them get to know me, and then putting our summer schedule together.
What's interesting about Coach Wood, folks out there listening, and again, I've known him for a while, is you hear things out in the community and take them for what they are, fodder, with a capital F. He is in it for the young people. It was that way at North Hall. Ask Ebo Smith. Ask Tim Cox. And we're going alpha to omega there, folks. He was that way at Flowery Branch in the 2 weeks he was there. You heard that with what he was saying the young men at Flowery Branch were saying to him and about him. And it's going to be that way at Gainesville High School. It would be that way if he was going to Banks County. And anyone who has that in their minds, no matter what level you're coaching on, that it is about the players, it is about the young people, you can't begrudge them for any decision they make. And I hope that these young people that you are going to be embarking on what I'm sure everyone at Gainesville hopes is a very long journey on, understand that about you, that it's going to be about them, not about that shiny red suit you and Randy are going to be wearing on the sidelines.
Could you see me in a red suit?
No, but I'll tell you, it was a little jarring when you walked in the red polo. It was a little jarring.
Yeah, I have some red pants. I really do have some red pants for Georgia game day. I really do. It is. You know what's interesting is with North Hall and Gainesville being such big rivals. Mm-hmm. I had 3 former North Hall players last night come and hug me and say they can't wait to come watch us at Gainesville. Yeah. And I've had, I think, 3 or 4 of those guys text me today. And because it goes back to relationships. Yeah. And those relationships have nothing to do with what polo you're wearing. No,
they don't.
So, like I said, my friends will be my friends. Mm-hmm. The people who truly care about me and my family will care about me and my family. And, I'm sorry, and I don't know how I can say this without it sounding ugly. I'm sorry for those people that don't get that. Yeah. But they have issues of their own they need to deal with.
What's been interesting as I've grown up in and around this community and in South Carolina and coached both places, I've realized that it's never really the young people that have the problem. It's the young people's parents, True. The adults, that True. Cause the drama. I'm pleading with you people out there. No drama. Let's make it about fun. Let's make it about the young people. And let's make it about watching Coach Benjie Wood coach He's one of the best in the state, folks. One of the most tradition-rich programs in the state of Georgia. It's going to be a rare opportunity, and it's going to start in November of next year. Are you excited? I'm already ready for basketball season. I can't wait to see what happens. Coach Wood, I appreciate your candor. I appreciate you coming on today. You're always welcome on Game On. You know that.
Thank you very much.
And maybe because you're a Dogs fan, we'll have you on during football season too, right?
You got it, baby.
That sounds great. Coach Benjie Wood, folks, new boys basketball coach at Gainesville High School. We wish him well and we congratulate him. And to the boys he'll be coaching, best of luck. You're going to sweat a lot.